Yo, what's up? My name is Gustavo Cordova. I am an aspiring Latino filmmaker, and I am here to give you a list of my top A24 movies to watch before you die. I just got done watching A24's Problemista, starring, directed and written by Julio Torres. This movie really inspired me and reminded me why A24 is at the top of their game at the moment. So I decided to make this list. The movies are in no particular order. However, at the end, I will give you my favorite and number one pick. A Prayer Before Dawn. The amazing true story of Billy Moore, an English boxer incarcerated in Thailand's most notorious prison. This is the film that introduced me to A24, a story about redemption, the movie following Billy's years in prison, where he finds an escape through Muay Thai. This is a gritty, brutal, and dark-toned film that was beautifully captured by the filmmakers and is a film that should be on your watch list. The Whale. This is a film to watch if you feel like crying and being emotional. The film that got Brendan Fraser an Oscar, the film is based off of a very famous play and brought to the big screen by Darren Aronofsky. Charlie is an English teacher that hides out in his apartment and is eating his way to death. The film deals with conversations about obesity and is mostly centered around his attempt to reconnect with his daughter, who he abandoned some time ago. The Farewell. Finding out her grandmother has terminal cancer, Billy and her family return to China in disguise of celebrating a fake wedding to secretly say their goodbyes. The only person that has no idea about the terminal cancer is Billy's grandmother herself. This movie is an emotional roller coaster, so prepare your tissues. The movie is also the first time I have seen Awkwafina in a serious role, and she honestly crushes it. Talk to Me is a very cool film created by the Philippou brothers. These guys went from making ridiculous yet entertaining YouTube videos to creating one of the best modern horror films. It is a story about grief with a fun yet horrific twist. A group of friends discover an embalmed hand and its way to conjure spirits through it. The movie quickly takes a dark turn and will leave you with your mouth open with one specific scene. This is a must-watch for horror fans. Uncut Gems. Adam Sandler is an amazing actor. I have always said it, and this movie proves my point even more. Another banger directed by the Safdie brothers. This movie follows Sandler's character, a charismatic jeweler obsessed with putting everything on the line with bets and debts. The story follows him trying to pay off his debt with his brother-in-law while balancing family and work. This is a very stressful and very fast-paced film. I would highly recommend to watch this one. Good Time. This is the first time I was exposed to the Safdie brothers, and the first time I have seen Robert Pattinson in a role other than Edward in the Twilight movies. It is about a man who is trying to keep his brother out of jail after a bank heist gone wrong. This is a thrilling ride from start to finish, and it feels like you do not get a break from the beginning of the film to the rolling credits. If you are into movies that will stress you out and have your blood pumping, this movie is definitely for you. Everything Everywhere All at Once. I am not going to explain this film that much since I was transported into another dimension when I first watched this, and I want you to experience the same. It is a spectacle with some of the most random cinematic moments I have ever encountered. It is a thrill ride from start to finish, but at the same time, it is a very grounded film with multiple messages spread throughout it. My wife and I watched it opening weekend with a packed theater, and it was an experience like no other. The crowd was crying, laughing, and clapping. I definitely recommend this one. Iron Claw is a true story of the Von Erich family as they make history in the world of wrestling. Starring Zac Efron, Jeremy Allen White, this story focuses on the tragedy of the Von Erich family. I personally am not a big fan of wrestling, but it helped me understand and respect the sport itself with all the behind the scenes shown in the film. I personally believe that this movie should have at least gotten nominated at the Oscars. Hereditary is a really dark and scary film centered around our main character, Annie. Her mother dies and her family begin experiencing disturbing situations, and the story takes twists and turns that eventually unravel their inherited destiny. This is easily my top horror film of all time, right next to The Shining, so if you love a smart and cinematic horror story with top-of-the-notch acting, I would highly recommend to check this one out. Minari. This is my number one pick from A24 since I very much so understand all of the emotions these characters are living. Starring Steven Yeun, it is a story about the American dream. A Korean family moves to the United States for a better life. It is a movie that centers you and reminds you that home is where your family is. It does not have a crazy plot. It is just a portrait of this family's journey to the American dream. Alright, thank you for watching this video. I really appreciate your time. I hope you enjoyed this top 10 list, and I will be posting more content like this shortly, and keep an eye out for future videos.